Hey, what's good everybody? It's Lance again. Today I'm going to give you guys another movie review. Wow, this is the second movie review I'm doing today. This is of Blindspotting. Now, this is a film by a director by the name of Carlos Lopez Estrada. It stars David Diggs and Rafael Casal, the guys who actually wrote this screenplay. I heard it took an extended period of time to try to make. I overheard David Diggs actually wanted to make this film for over like a 10-year period. However, they finally got around to doing it. They found a director, and yeah, this was entirely written by these two characters. By these two actors playing these characters. David Diggs playing Colin and Rafael Casal playing Miles. And these are like childhood friends. They grew up in Oakland together. They've been around together for years, right? Extended period of time. This follows a young man named Colin who had just got out of jail for a crime that he had committed. Something that had happened that you actually find out later on in the movie. And you get to see a little bit of his life just coming out. This follows the last 3 days of his probation, and you just kind of like see his life through Oakland, just trying to stay out of trouble, hanging out with his best friend Miles and his friends family. He doesn't want to put himself in a position where he can actually get arrested. And what happens is that during one of the last few days of his probation, he witnesses a cop kill an unarmed black man. And he just kind of finds himself in that situation, and it haunts him for a little while. You know, he starts to see things. He starts to try to like understand what he had saw, and he sees it on the news, and it tackles a whole bunch of stuff about race and police brutality. And it just gets in all of that, but also it doesn't shy away from also criticizing gentrification and just a lot of other things like classism and things of that nature. And it's interesting that this film came out right after Sorry to Bother You. Sorry to Bother You came out like 2 weeks ago, and I saw it in the same exact theater that I saw this movie in. So it's just funny how like two Oakland classics, I guess you can say, came out back to back essentially. The whole ordeal is just really crazy, and not to spoil anything for you, I feel like this movie is kind of like the do the right thing of the gentrification millennial era, in which you kind of have races clashing, the idea of the N-word, the idea of white privilege, the idea of police brutality, and the idea of gentrification in areas that should not be gentrified, the hood and what that means. It's just also a very colorful movie. It's filmed very well. I honestly saw a lot of similarities how it was filmed to Sorry to Bother You, because I feel like both of these films are very colorful. So the cinematography is definitely on point here. But what really is interesting is the certain shots and scenes that you see in this movie. Because not to spoil anything, because there's a lot of things that you won't know just by looking at the trailer. Colin kind of tries to juggle stuff with Miles, because Miles, you know, he's kind of like an outlandish type of guy. You know, he's straight from the hood, but he's also happens to be white. Colin is black, and you know, there's a whole bunch of things with that, but they're not necessarily like truly like, I guess you can say, a problem. It's not problematic. I know he sees him as a brother, and they both come from the same place, but that is addressed in this movie, and it kind of, you know, spirals into certain scenes having to deal with that and just wholeheartedly just address that aspect of their relationship, and the fact that maybe Miles can get away with some things that Colin can't. They both kind of work together. He works with his ex-girlfriend as well. They just go from home to home, and they move furniture and things of that nature. They do kind of like honest labor. Very interesting like take on everything that's happening, I guess, in Oakland. I've never been to Oakland. The only place I've been to California is Los Angeles, so I've never really been to anywhere in Northern California, not even San Francisco. So I'm kind of like oblivious when it comes to like the geographical nature of that area. I only know what's happening here and like maybe somewhere else, but it's very much informative. And you know, towards like the end, like the climax of this film, you know, it's really emotional, and there are some things with like lyrics and rap, like, because it's essentially also very much a hangout film. You know what I mean? It centers around these two characters, with Colin being the main protagonist, and it's just them talking, and you know, just talking about everything that's happening. Him going throughout his day, dealing with his ex, working, trying to stay out of trouble, the police, gentrification, you know, it's just a whole bunch of things that happened. It's a lot to take in, and I overheard someone else say that, but it's definitely a lot to take in. And I feel like what Carlos Lopez Estrada did with this movie, and what Daveed Diggs and Rafael Casal did with the screenplay, it just meshed so well together. And it provided not only a very entertaining movie, but a very well informative film, and a very important film. I think that this film really captures what life is in 2018 for a lot of people, and I believe it kind of just really opens eyes, you know what I mean? This is like the third film or fourth film coming out in the next couple of months, or the next few months actually, that's about, like, that tackles at least police brutality, that tackles gentrification. And this is the second one in a month span that's taking place in Oakland. So it's just really eye-opening, and I personally was floored by the movie. I have to say that I really enjoyed it, and I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. I don't know why. I just felt like it was gonna be good, but not as good as it was. But I have to say, it was an excellent movie. I can't really say anything bad about it, to be honest with you. There's no point in this movie where I felt like I was bored. There's no pacing issues, really. It's a 95-minute film, so it's kind of like a quick thing, but it feels like very much like a feature. Everything, the climax works. There's a great conversation with both Colin and Miles due to an altercation that has them kind of clash at each other, and you kind of get to see where both heads are at. And it just really is eye-opening, and I implore everybody to see it. If I have to give this movie a rating, you already know I'm gonna give this movie an excellence, because it is excellent. It's truly really good, and I hope that you guys actually take the time out of your day one of these days coming up and go see this movie. I think there was a lot of people in my screening, so hopefully that transfers out when it goes into like wider release, I believe next week. But since I live in New York, I was able to see it this week. But yeah, I have to commend these guys, and I honestly do feel like it's like can be compared to Do the Right Thing. It's very much so a film about, you know, just clash. You know, it's really good, and I implore you to see it. Anyway, that's it for today's review. I hope you guys enjoy what you saw here and liked my review. Please leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want more videos, and as always, I'm Lance, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.